Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads. We continue with Wicked, Chapter 2 of the second part of the Vinkus. A week passed before Sarima said to Three, "Please tell our auntie guest I'd like to see her tomorrow for 11s in the solar." Sarima thought that Elphaba had had enough time now to get the measure of things. The suffering green woman was in some sort of slow motion thrall or fit. She moved jerkily, stalking around the courtyard or stamping into meals as if trying to poke holes in the flooring with her heels. Her elbows were always bent at right angles, and her hands clenched and unclenched themselves. Sarima felt stronger than ever, which wasn't very. It did her some good to have a contemporary around, however thwarted she might be. The sisters disapproved of Sarima's cordiality. But the higher mountain passes were already closed for the winter, and you just couldn't send a stranger packing into the treacherous valleys. The sisters confirmed in their parlor, so they busied themselves knitting hateful gray pot holders for the undeserving pair at Lurleedmas. "She's sick," they said. "She's inert, unfinished," even more than they were, which was the unspoken corollary. An immensely gratifying notion. She's damned. And that fat balloon of a boy, her son or child slave, or is he one of her familiars? Behind Sarima's back, they called the woman living in the cobblestone Auntie Witch, echoing the old lemons of Cumbretia, which were viler and more persistent in the Kells than elsewhere in Oz. It was Manic, Sarima's middle child, who was the most curious. One morning, as the boys stood on the basement pissing over the side, a game poor Nor had to pretend no interest in, Manic said, "What if we peed on Auntie? Would she scream?" "She'd turn you into a toad," said Liir. "No, I mean, would it hurt her? She looks like water gives her the aches and shakes. Does she even drink it? Or does it make her insides hurt?" Liir, not an especially observant child, said, "I think she doesn't drink it. Sometimes she washes things, but she uses sticks and brushes. We better not pee on her." "And what does she do with all those bees and the monkey? Are they magic?" "Yeah," said Liir. "What kind of magic?" "I don't know." They stepped away from the dizzying drop, and Nora came running up. "I have a magic straw," she said, holding up her brown bristle from the witch's broom. "Is the broom magic?" said Manic to Liir. "Yes, it can sweep the floor real fast." "Can it talk? Is it chanted? What does it say?" They got more interested, and Liir bloomed and blushed under their curiosity. "I can't tell. It's a secret." "Is it still a secret if we pushed you off the tower?" Liir considered. "What do you mean?" "Will you tell us or we'll do it?" "Don't push me off the tower, you oafs. If the broom is magic, we'll come flying by and save you. Besides, you're so fat you probably bounce." Irgi and Nora laughed at that, despite themselves, and made a very funny picture in their minds. "We want to know the secrets the broom says to you," said Manic with a smile. "So tell us, or we'll push you off." "You're not being nice. He's company," said Nora. "Come on, let's go find some mice in the pantry and make friends." "In a minute. Let's push Liir off the roof first." "No," said Nora, beginning to cry. "You boys are so mean." "Are you sure that broom is magic, Liir?" But Liir by now didn't want to say any more. Manic tossed a pebble off the roof, and it seemed a very long time before the ping of impact. Liir's face had, in a matter of moments, developed deep black pockets under the eyes. He held his hands down by his sides like a traitor at a court-martial. "The witch will be so mad she will hate you," Liir said. "I don't think so," said Manic, taking a step forward. "She won't even care. She likes the monkey more than she likes you. She won't even notice if you're dead." Liir gasped for air. Although he had just peed, the front of his baggy trousers turned dark and wet. "Look, Irgi," said Manic, and his older brother looked. "He's not even being very good at alive, is he? It's not like it would be too much of a loss. Come on, Liir, tell me. What did the damn broom say to you?" Liir's upper torso was going in and out like battles. He whispered, "The broom told me that you're all going to die." "Oh, is that all?" said Manic. "We already knew that. Everybody dies." "We knew that already." "You did?" said Liir, who hadn't. "Come on," Irji said. "Come on, let's catch the mice in the pantry and we can cut off the tails and use Nor's magic straw to prick out their eyes." "No," said Nor, but Irji swiped the straw from her. Manic and Irji went clattering, loose-limbed as marionettes, along the parapet and down the stairs. With a huge, aggrieved sigh, Liir composed himself and adjusted his clothes and followed them like a condemned dwarf laborer in the emerald mines. Nor strayed behind, her arms folded defiantly, her chin working with frustration. Then she spit over the edge and felt better, and chased after the boys. At morning, Six showed up the guest in the solar. With a smirk behind Andy's back, she deposited a tray of cruel little biscuits, hard as slate, on a table covered with carpet gone brown and patternless. Sarima, having made her way through what she could of her daily spiritual ablutions, felt ready. "I've been here a week, and it's likely to be longer," said Sarima, allowing Six to pour some galroot coffee before dismissing her. "The trail north has snowed by now, and there's not a safe haven between here and the plains. The winters are hard in the mountains, and while we can make do with our stores and our company, we treasure a change." "Milk?" "I do not know exactly what you had intended once you had visited us sufficiently, I mean." "There are rumors of caves in these kells," Elphaba said, almost more to herself than to Sarima. "I lived in some years at the cloister of St. Glinda in the Shale Shallows, outside of the Emerald City. Dignitaries would visit, and while we were often under a vow of silence, nonetheless people would talk of what they knew. Monastic cells. I had thought, when I was done here, that I might take myself to a cave and set up housekeeping," said Sarima, as if this were usual as marrying and bearing babies. "Some do what I know. There's an old hermit on the western slopes of Broken Bottle. There's a peak nearby. They say he's been there for years, and he's reverted to a more primitive moment of nature. Of his nature, I mean. A life without words," Elfie said, looking at her coffee and not drinking it. "They say the hermit has forgotten about personal hygiene," said Samira, "which, given how the boys smell when they go and wash for a couple of weeks, strikes me as nature's defense against marauding beasts." "I didn't expect to be here a long time," Elfie said, twisting her head on her neck like a parrot and looking at Sarima in an odd way. "Oh, beware," thought Sarima carefully, though she tended to like the guest. "Beware," she's shaking in the direction of the discussion in her own hands. This won't do, but the guest went on. "I thought that I would have a night or two, maybe 3, and I could find myself a hidey hole before winter set in. I was working on a wrong calendar. I was thinking of how and when winter came to shiz in the Emerald City. But you're 6 weeks ahead here." "Ahead in the autumn and behind the spring at last," said Samira. She would take her feet off her hassock and place them on the floor, flatly, to indicate seriousness. "Now, my friend, there are some things I need to tell you." "I have things too," Elfie said, but Sarima went on this time. "You will think me an unpolished person, and you are right, of course. Oh, when I was selected to be a child bride, a good governess was hired from Gilligan to teach me and my sisters how to use verbs and pronouns and salad forks. And lately I've begun to master reading, but most of what I picked up about polite behavior was from what Fiyero was good enough to instruct me in when he returned from his education. No doubt I make social mistakes. You have every right to snigger behind my back." "I am not given to sniggering," snapped Elphaba. "As it may be, but I have some opinions, and I'm observant even if unschooled. Despite my sheltered life, married at the age of 7, as you may know, raised and reared behind castle curtain walls, I trust my own sense of things and won't be dissuaded. So let me continue, she said as Elphaba tried to interrupt. There's plenty of time, and the sun is nice in here, isn't it? My little hideaway. It seems to me that you have come here to, shall we say, relieve yourself of some sad business or other. You have the look about you. Don't be startled, my dear. If there's a look I do recognize, it's the look of someone carrying a burden. Remember, I listen to my sisters year in and year out. They graciously share with me all the ways they hate me and why. She smiled and amused at her own wit. You want to throw down your burden. Throw it down on my feet or across my shoulders. You want perhaps to weep a little, to say goodbye, and then to leave. And when you leave here, you will walk right out of the world. I will do no such thing, said Elphie. You will, indeed, even if you don't know it. You will have nothing left to tie you to the world. But I know my limits, Auntie Guest. I know what you're here for. You told me. You told me in the hall. You said you felt responsible for Fiyero's death. I don't. Just don't. This is my home. I am a nominal dowager princess of duck shit. But I have a right to hear, and I have a right not to hear, even to make a traveler feel better. I don't. But I don't want to burden you, Sarima. I want to unburden you with the truth. If you permit me, or the larger, the lighter forgiveness blesses the donor as well as the receiver. I'll overlook the remark about my being larger, said Sarima, but I still have a right to choose, and I think you wish me ill. You wish me ill, and you don't even know it. You want to punish me for something, maybe for not being a good enough wife for Fiyero. You wish me ill, and you fool yourself to think it's some therapeutic course of tablets. Do you know how he died, at least? Elphaba said. I know it was a violent action. I know his body was never found. I know it was in a little love nest, said Sarima, for a minute losing her resolve. I don't care to know who it was exactly, but I've heard enough about that vile Sir Chuffrey to have a strong opinion. Sir Chuffrey? I said no. I said no more. Now I have an offer to make of you, Auntie, if you will have it. You and the boy may move into the southeast tower if you like. There are a couple of big round rooms with high ceilings and good light, and you'll be out of the drafty cobble shed and warmer. You'll have your own staircase to come and go to the main ball, and you won't bother girls and they won't trouble you. You can stay in the cobble shed all winter. The boy has been looking pale and blubbery. I think he's always cold. You're here on the condition, I'm afraid, that you accept my firmest word on these matters. I don't care to discuss my husband or the affairs of his death with you. Elphaba looked horror-struck and beaten. I have no choice to accept, she said, at least for the time being. But I warn you, I intend to befriend you so thoroughly that you will change your mind. And I do think you will hear things. You will need to talk about them, as I do, and I can't leave into the wilderness until I have your solemn promise of... Enough, said Sarima. Call the porter from the gatehouse and have him bring your luggage to the tower. Come, I'll show you. You haven't touched your coffee. She stood. For an awkward moment, there was respect and suspicion, in equal measure, simmering on the carpet like the dust in the sunbeams. Come, Sarima said more softly. At the very least, you need to be warm. You must be able to say that much of the country mice here at Kiyamako. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.